When I think back on that night, I can still feel the vibration of my phone against the wooden desk in my office, the way the world seemed to shift in the space of a single text message. But to understand why it cut so deep, you have to understand me, who I am, where I came from, and why a necklace could carry the weight of both my family's history and my entire future. My name is Victoria Sterling, and I am 32 years old. To the world, I am the CEO of Sterling Luxury Jewelers, a company worth more than $60 million and growing every day. To my family, though, I'm still just Vicky, the quiet girl who they think got lucky working at some little jewelry shop downtown. They never ask about the long nights, the negotiations, the risks, the sleepless hours, building an empire. They don't know about the contracts I've signed with international clients, the designs that have walked down red carpets, or the security measures I've had to put in place to protect assets worth more than most people will see in a lifetime. The irony is the company wasn't even supposed to be mine. It was my grandfather's dream. Sterling Luxury Jewelers began as a small workshop, just him, with a magnifying glass, a steady hand, and a passion for crafting pieces that told stories. I used to sit by his side as a little girl, watching the way his hands moved like magic, turning raw stones into something that could make a woman's eyes shine with wonder. He saw something in me even when no one else did. He taught me patience, precision, and pride. And when he passed, he left the business to me, not to my father, not to my brother, but to me. My parents were surprised. Tyler, my younger brother, was furious. He had always been the one in the spotlight, the one they bragged about at family dinners. Tyler's doing so well they would gush while I sat quietly knowing they had no idea what I was building in silence. Tyler thought the inheritance wasn't fair, that it should have gone to him. But he never cared about the craft, never cared about the legacy. He cared about appearances, about impressing whoever was watching. That brings me to the necklace. It wasn't just any necklace, it was the necklace. A sapphire and diamond piece valued at $2.2 million, designed as both a showpiece and a company asset. It had been commissioned for an exclusive gala, but kept in our private vault until the event. I had overseen every stage of its creation, from the sourcing of the stones to the final clasp. It wasn't just jewelry, it was my grandfather's vision, and my company's reputation crystallized into a single work of art. That Friday evening, I was still at the office going over year-end accounts when my phone buzzed. It was a message from Tyler. "Thanks for letting me borrow the necklace. Wish me luck tonight." At first, I didn't understand. Borrow the necklace. What necklace? I frowned, rereading the words as a cold sensation crept over me. My hands shook as I typed back, "What are you talking about?" But the message went unread. I dropped everything, my heels clicking frantically against the marble floor as I rushed to the vault. The security system recognized my fingerprint, the heavy door clicking open with a hiss. My heart pounded as I scanned the rows of velvet cases, my eyes darting to the one in the center. Empty. My breath caught in my throat. The necklace was gone. For a moment, I couldn't move. The world seemed to tilt, the silence of the vault pressing in on me. That necklace wasn't just a piece of jewelry, it was insured for millions, tied to contracts, bound to promises I had made to clients who trusted me. Losing it could ruin my reputation, my company, everything I had worked for. And Tyler, my brother, he thought it was a trinket, a cheap accessory to impress some woman on a date. I pressed my hands to my face, trying to breathe. Memories flashed through me, Tyler laughing as a teenager, calling me boring Vicky while he flaunted his new shoes or gadgets. Tyler borrowing money he never paid back. Tyler showing up at family gatherings with a new girl on his arm, bragging about cars he leased and jobs he barely held on to. He had always been reckless, but this was beyond reckless. I called him. No answer. I called again, straight to voicemail. Panic clawed at my chest. What if he lost it? What if he pawned it? What if it was stolen from him because he had no idea how dangerous it was to carry something like that in public? The scenarios spiraled through my mind, each worse than the last. I called Daniel, head of security for the company, a man I trusted more than anyone. His voice was calm but firm. "We'll find him. Don't worry. But Victoria, you need to prepare yourself. If he's taken it without authorization, we have to treat this as theft. Even if he's your brother, The word theft echoed in my head. My brother, a thief. I wanted to deny it to protect him, to believe this was just a misunderstanding. But the evidence was undeniable, the empty case, the text, the silence. As Daniel began tracing Tyler's phone, I sat in my office, trembling. Anger mixed with grief, grief with disbelief. I thought about my grandfather, about how he had trusted me with his legacy. Would he see this as my failure? Would he think I had been careless, letting family get too close, too comfortable, too entitled? Hours later, the call came in. Daniel had tracked Tyler's location. He was at a high-end restaurant downtown, the kind of place with chandeliers dripping crystal and a wine list thicker than a novel. I could picture it already, Tyler sitting at the table, leaning back in his chair, the necklace gleaming against his date's collarbone as he bragged about his success. My stomach turned. He had no idea the fire he was playing with. I stood, my resolve hardening with every step. Enough was enough. For years, I had let my family think of me as the quiet one, the background character. For years, I had swallowed my pride while Tyler strutted through life with arrogance he hadn't earned. But this was the line. That night, I wasn't just a sister anymore. I was a woman with everything to lose and everything to prove. And if Tyler wanted to play with fire, he was about to learn how quickly it could burn. The drive to the restaurant felt like a blur, though every red light seemed to drag on for an eternity. My hands gripped the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles ached. The city glittered around me, holiday lights still strung across storefronts, couples holding hands on sidewalks, taxis darting through the streets. All of it seemed unreal, like I was moving through a world separate from theirs. My world was narrowed to a single point. My brother sitting in some fancy restaurant parading a necklace worth more than most people's lifetime earnings as if it were costume jewelry. When I pulled up, Daniel was already waiting. His tall frame leaned against the black SUV parked across the street, his eyes sharp scanning every passerby. The moment he saw me, he straightened. "He's inside," he said, his voice low. "Private booth near the back. He hasn't noticed me watching." My stomach churned. Is she wearing it?" Daniel's jaw tightened. "Yes. Big sapphire centerpiece. Hard to miss." For a moment, the world tilted again. I had designed that necklace. I had held those sapphires in my hand, marveled at the way the deep blue caught the light, like the ocean at midnight. I had envisioned it as the centerpiece of our next campaign, a statement of strength and grace. And now it was draped around the neck of some unsuspecting woman, reduced to a prop in my brother's endless charade. I pressed a hand to my chest, willing my heartbeat to slow. "Okay, let's do this." The maitre d' barely glanced at me as I entered. His smile polished his eyes, quick to assess my designer dress and confident stride. He led me past rows of tables until I spotted them, Tyler leaning across the booth, his smile wide, his hand gesturing grandly as he spoke. Across from him, a woman in a red dress laughed her hand, brushing the glittering sapphire at her collarbone. The sight stole my breath. There it was, my necklace, my company's asset, my grandfather's legacy. I walked straight to their table. Tyler's eyes widened when he saw me, the color draining from his face, before he quickly forced a smirk. "Vicky." "What a surprise." The woman looked between us confused. "You know her." "She's my sister," Tyler said smoothly, though I caught the flicker of panic in his eyes. She, works with jewelry. Isn't that right, Vicky?" I ignored him, my gaze fixed on the necklace. "Take it off," I said quietly. The woman blinked. "Excuse me." Tyler laughed nervously. "She's joking. Don't worry, babe. She gets a little intense about her job." "Take it off," I repeated, my voice sharper now. My hand trembled, but I held it steady against the table. "That necklace is not yours, Tyler. It's not even mine personally. It belongs to Sterling Jewelers. It's insured for over $2 million. Do you understand what you've done?" The woman's laughter died instantly. Her eyes widened as her hand flew to the clasp. $2 million. Tyler's face twisted, his mask cracking. "Oh, come on. Don't exaggerate. It's just a necklace. It was lying around in your office. I figured you wouldn't miss it." My chest burned with fury. "Lying around. You broke into the vault. Do you have any idea the consequences if this had been stolen? If something happened to it, you could have ruined everything I've built." Voices from nearby tables quieted as people turned to watch. The woman in the red dress unclasped the necklace with trembling fingers, setting it carefully on the table as though it were radioactive. I need to go, she stammered, sliding out of the booth and hurrying away without looking back. Tyler shot me a glare. Nice. Real nice. You embarrassed me in front of her. Do you ever stop trying to make me look bad? I leaned forward, my voice low but seething. I didn't make you look bad, Tyler. You did that all by yourself. Daniel appeared, then his presence a wall of calm authority. He picked up the necklace with gloved hands, placing it carefully into a secure case he had brought. The sight of it leaving the table sent a wave of relief through me, but it didn't ease the ache in my chest. Tyler leaned back, crossing his arms. What, you gonna call the cops on your own brother over a stupid necklace? The question hung in the air, heavy and cruel. And in that moment I realized this was bigger than the necklace. This was about every time he had taken without asking, every time he had laughed at me, every time he had assumed I was small, because it was easier than admitting I was more than he'd ever be. Daniel's eyes flicked to mine, silent, asking, was I ready? I swallowed hard. Yes, I whispered. Call them. Tyler's smirk faltered. Wait, you're serious? You'd really do that to me? My eyes burned with tears I refused to let fall. I gave you chance after chance, Tyler. I covered for you, forgave you, believed you'd grow up. But this isn't just careless. It's criminal. And you don't get to drag me or our grandfather's legacy down with you. For the first time, he looked scared. Not angry, not cocky, scared. Vicky, please. But the sirens were already wailing in the distance. When the police arrived, the restaurant buzzed with whispers. Tyler tried to protest, tried to charm, but the evidence was clear. The necklace was in his possession. The vault logs showed unauthorized access, and my statement carried weight. They cuffed him right there in front of everyone. As they led him out, his eyes locked on mine, a mix of betrayal and disbelief. You'll regret this, he spat. But as the doors closed behind him, I felt a strange calm settle over me. Because maybe finally he was about to learn the one lesson life had never managed to teach him. Actions have consequences. Still, as I stood in the empty booth, the necklace safe once more in Daniel's hands, a hollow ache filled me. He was my brother, and no matter how much I told myself it was necessary, it still felt like I had carved out a piece of my own heart and handed it over to the police. That night, alone in my apartment, I sat with the necklace in its case on the table before me. Its sapphires glimmered under the lamplight as beautiful as ever, but they no longer felt like triumph. They felt like a mirror reflecting everything broken between me and Tyler. I whispered into the silence, my voice shaking. Grandpa, I hope I did the right thing. The police station smelled of cold coffee and disinfectant. The hum of fluorescent lights buzzed overhead as I sat in the waiting area, my hands clasped tightly in my lap. I had barely slept, the weight of what I had done pressing on me like a stone. My brother was in holding, and I had put him there. Daniel sat beside me, silent but steady. He didn't try to fill the air with reassurances or empty words. That's what I valued about him. His presence was its own kind of anchor. Still, my chest ached with conflict. I knew pressing charges was the right thing, but rightness doesn't erase the sting of betrayal. After what felt like hours, an officer finally led me back to a small interview room. Tyler was already inside, slumped in a metal chair, his wrists free now, but his face pale and drawn. His usual cocky grin was gone, replaced by something raw, or fear maybe, or shame. The officer nodded at me. You have 10 minutes. Then he left the door, clicking shut. For a moment, neither of us spoke. I stared at him, my throat tight. This was the boy I had once held hands with crossing the street, the teenager I had fought with over the TV remote, the young man my parents had always favored. And now he looked like a stranger. Tyler broke the silence first. You really did it, he muttered, his voice hoarse. You actually called the cops on your own brother. I swallowed hard. You stole from me, Tyler. From the company. From Grandpa's legacy. What did you expect me to do? His eyes flashed. It was just a necklace. My chest burned. No, it wasn't just a necklace. It was $2.2 million worth of responsibility. It was months of work contracts, trust. Do you understand what could have happened if it was lost or stolen from you? My entire company could have collapsed. Employees could have lost their jobs. Clients would have walked away. And you think it was just a necklace? He looked away, jaw tight, shame flickering across his face before he masked it with anger again. I didn't know. How was I supposed to know? I leaned forward, my voice trembling. Because you never asked. Because you never cared enough to see me for who I really am. All these years you've treated me like the boring sister who tinkered with jewelry in a little shop. But while you were partying, I was building something. While you laughed at me, I was signing million-dollar contracts. While you assumed I was small, I was carrying a legacy you'll never understand. The words poured out heavy and unfiltered, years of silence breaking at once. Tyler's mouth opened, then closed. For once he had no comeback. He rubbed his face with both hands, exhaling shakily. I wanted to impress her. I wanted her to think I was important. My heart cracked because beneath all the arrogance there, it was the insecurity, the hunger for validation. It was the same thing that had driven him for years, the same void he tried to fill with flashy cars, expensive dates, empty bragging. You wanted to impress her, I repeated softly. So you stole from me. Do you realize how twisted that is? His eyes glistened, but he blinked the tears back angrily. I didn't think you'd notice. A bitter laugh escaped me. That's the problem, Tyler. You never think I notice. You never think I matter. But I do. And last night proved it. Silence stretched between us, thick and suffocating. Finally, he muttered, "What happens now?" I sat back, my fingers trembling against the edge of the table. That was the question, wasn't it? Legally, I could pursue the charges. He had broken into the vault, taken company property, endangered everything. The law was clear. But the sister in me, the part of me that still remembered his laughter as a boy, the way he used to sneak cookies to me when Mom said no, that part was at war with the CEO who had responsibilities bigger than family sentiment. I don't know yet, I admitted, my voice low. But I know this something has to change. You can't keep taking and expecting no consequences. He lowered his head, his voice breaking. I'm sorry, Vicky. The sound of it, genuine, fragile, pierced me. For years, apologies had never been part of his vocabulary. Hearing it now felt like standing at the edge of something new, though I didn't know if it was redemption or just another manipulation. The door opened and the officer stepped in. Time's up. I stood slowly, my heart heavy. Tyler looked up at me, desperation flickering in his eyes. Don't let them charge me, please. I met his gaze, torn between fury and love, justice and mercy. I'll think about it, I whispered. Then I turned and walked out, my heels echoing down the corridor. Outside, Daniel was waiting. Well, he asked. I shook my head, swallowing the lump in my throat. He's scared. He's sorry. But I don't know if that's enough. Daniel placed a steady hand on my shoulder. You don't have to decide tonight. But whatever you choose, make sure it's a decision that honors you, not just him. That night, I lay awake in bed, the necklace case sitting on my nightstand like a silent judge. The sapphires gleamed faintly in the dim light, beautiful and cold. I thought about my grandfather, about the pride in his eyes when he handed me the keys to the workshop. He had believed in me when no one else did. What would he tell me to do now? Would he want me to protect Tyler, to keep the family bond intact at all costs? Or would he tell me that a legacy means nothing if you let people trample it, even if they share your blood? I didn't have the answer yet. All I knew was that the necklace was safe, the company was intact, but something inside me had shifted forever. The next day, the phone calls began. My parents frantic, demanding to know why Tyler had been arrested, relatives gossiping, whispering, asking how I could betray my own brother. None of them asked the real question, how could he betray me? By the third day, I made my decision. Not final, not complete, but a step. I told the police I would withdraw the charges for now. But Tyler wasn't walking free without consequence, because if he wanted to understand the value of what he almost destroyed, he was going to have to live it. And that's how my brother, the self-proclaimed golden boy, found himself reporting for work at Sterling Luxury Jewelers. The first morning Tyler showed up at Sterling Luxury Jewelers, I thought he wouldn't last an hour. He arrived late, of course, sauntering in with his designer jacket and that familiar air of indifference, as if he were doing us a favor by even showing up. The staff exchanged wary glances, their respect for me tempered with confusion about why this arrogant young man had been given a desk. I gathered everyone in the main workshop and introduced him. My voice was firm, leaving no room for argument. This is Tyler Sterling. He'll be working here under probation. He's going to learn every part of the process from design to sourcing to customer service. Treat him like any other trainee. The unspoken words hung in the air. Don't give him special treatment because he's my brother. Don't shield him from the work he's earned. Tyler gave a lazy smile and a little wave. Guess I'm part of the team now. I caught Daniel's raised eyebrow but said nothing. Let Tyler dig his own hole if he wanted. The first week was brutal for him. He stumbled through basic tasks, answering phones, taking notes, cataloging stones. He rolled his eyes when asked to clean tools, scoffed when he was told to log inventory. This is grunt work, he muttered to one of the senior jewelers, not realizing I was standing behind him. This is where everyone starts, I said evenly. If you think you're above it, maybe you should reconsider being here. His jaw clenched, but he stayed silent. At night, I went home exhausted, not from my own work, but from carrying the emotional weight of watching my brother flounder. There were moments when I almost regretted my decision, when I wondered if it was cruel to force him into a world he didn't respect. But then I remembered the look on his face when he dismissed the necklace as just jewelry. No, he needed to understand. The turning point came 2 weeks later. We were working on a custom engagement ring for a high-profile client, a piece that demanded precision and artistry. Tyler was assigned to observe, to take notes as the master jeweler set the diamond. He leaned against the counter, clearly bored, until the stone slipped from the tweezers and nearly rolled off the bench. The room froze. Even though the diamond was caught in time, the air was thick with tension. Losing or damaging a stone worth hundreds of thousands could be catastrophic. Tyler's face drained of color as he realized what almost happened. I stepped forward, my voice calm but sharp. Do you see now? Do you understand that this isn't a game? Every detail matters. Every mistake carries weight. This is responsibility, Tyler. This is what you almost destroyed when you stole that necklace. Something shifted in his eyes then. For the first time, I saw humility. Fear too, but the kind of fear that teaches respect. After that, he changed. Slowly, awkwardly, but noticeably. He started showing up on time. He asked questions instead of dismissing tasks. He sat through design meetings without fidgeting, scribbling notes like he actually cared. The staff, skeptical at first, began to warm to him. One evening, I found him alone in the workshop staring at a tray of sapphires. They're beautiful, he admitted softly. I never really looked at them before, not like this. I studied him carefully. Beauty isn't enough. It's about meaning. Each stone carries history, craftsmanship, trust. That's what makes them priceless. He nodded, his expression thoughtful. I get that now. For weeks he kept at it. He made mistakes, plenty of them, but he also began to show glimpses of the man he could be if he let go of his ego. He learned to polish settings, to measure cuts, to handle clients with care. He even stayed late some nights, shadowing the artisans, asking questions about techniques. Our parents, meanwhile, were furious with me. You're humiliating him, my mother snapped over the phone. Making him your servant. He's not my servant, I replied. He's learning. For the first time in his life, he's earning something. My father's voice was colder. You think you're better than us now, don't you? Just because Grandpa gave you the company. But family comes first, Victoria, always. The words stung, but I held firm. Because to me, family had to mean more than blind loyalty. It had to mean accountability, respect, truth. Without those things, family was just a word. Months passed. Tyler's probation stretched into a rhythm neither of us expected. He wasn't perfect, but he was trying. And somewhere along the way, the bitterness in my chest began to loosen. One night, after everyone else had gone home, he approached me in the office. His hands were rough from work, his clothes smudged with dust. Vicky, he began, his voice uncertain. I owe you more than an apology. I owe you gratitude. I never saw what you carried. I never saw who you really were. And I'm sorry it took nearly losing everything for me to realize it. I looked at him, my throat tight. For years I had dreamed of hearing those words. But now that they were here, they didn't feel like victory. They felt like healing. You hurt me, Tyler, I whispered. Deeply. And it'll take time for that wound to close. But if you're serious, if you're really willing to change, then maybe this doesn't have to be the end of us. Maybe it can be a new beginning. His eyes glistened as he nodded. That night, I went home and opened the vault once more. The necklace lay in its case gleaming like it always had. But when I looked at it now, it wasn't just a reminder of betrayal. It was a symbol of transformation. Of a wound, yes, but also of growth. Still, I knew the story wasn't over. Forgiveness is not a single moment. It is a path. And we had only just stepped onto it. Spring arrived quietly with blossoms unfurling on the trees outside my office window and sunlight streaming across the workshop floor. By then, Tyler had been working with us for nearly 6 months. The boy who had once laughed at me, who had nearly destroyed everything I built, was gone, or at least buried beneath layers of humility, responsibility, and a newfound respect for the world he had once dismissed. But change is rarely neat, and forgiveness is never linear. There were still days when old habits surfaced, moments when he grew defensive if corrected, times when his pride bristled under authority. Each time I saw flashes of the brother I had always known, the one who thought the world owed him more than he earned. Yet those moments no longer defined him. What defined him now were the evenings he stayed behind to help reset the showroom, the quiet way he praised the artisans for their skill, the careful precision in his hands as he learned to set a stone. It wasn't redemption yet, but it was the start of something I never thought I'd see: growth. One evening, after a long day of preparing for a major launch, Tyler appeared at my office door. He held something in his hands, a small black velvet box. Without a word, he placed it on my desk. "What's this?" I asked, wary. "Open it." Inside was a necklace. Not flawless, not perfect. The design was simple, the stones smaller than our usual showcase pieces. But it was beautiful in its own way, crafted with care and sincerity. "I made it," he said quietly. "It's not worth millions. It's not even close to what you design every day. But it's the first thing I created from start to finish: sketching, setting, polishing. The team helped, but they made me do most of the work myself. I wanted you to have it, to thank you for not giving up on me even when I gave you every reason to." For a long time I couldn't speak. Tears blurred my vision as I traced the delicate curve of the metal with my fingers. This wasn't just jewelry. It was an apology made tangible. A piece of humility forged into something lasting. "Tyler," my voice cracked, "this means more than you know." He nodded, swallowing hard. "I know I can't erase what I did. I know I'll never be the brother you deserved. But maybe I can be better from here on out. Maybe I can make you proud the way Grandpa would have wanted." For the first time in years, I smiled at him without reservation. "You already have." That night when I locked the vault, I placed his necklace inside alongside our most valuable pieces, because to me it was priceless. But healing is never just about one relationship. My parents, too, had begun to see me differently. The scandal of Tyler's arrest had shaken them, forced them to confront truths they'd ignored. Slowly, painfully, they began to admit their own blind spots, the ways they had elevated him while diminishing me. It wasn't easy to hear their apologies, and it wasn't easy to forgive, but just as with Tyler, I chose to try. Because I had learned something vital through it all. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean excusing. It means choosing not to let bitterness define you. It means recognizing the wound but refusing to live in it forever. The company thrived. Our launch was a success, our reputation stronger than ever. I stood on that stage unveiling a new line inspired by resilience, and I saw Tyler in the crowd applauding with genuine pride. Not envy, not resentment, pride. And in that moment I felt something inside me finally settle. Looking back now, I see the irony. For years, my family thought I was the quiet one, the forgettable one, the sister in the shadows. Tyler thought I was small and visible. But in truth, I was carrying a fire they never recognized until it burned too brightly to ignore. That necklace, the one he stole, the one worth millions, had nearly torn us apart. But it also forced us to face the truth. It forced Tyler to see me, forced my family to reckon with their blindness, forced me to decide who I wanted to be: the sister who kept silent, or the woman who stood in her own power. I chose the latter, and I will never apologize for it. So if you're listening to my story, maybe you know what it's like to be underestimated. Maybe you've been called a failure, a disappointment, invisible. Maybe the people closest to you have taken from you, assuming you'll always forgive, always endure. But hear me now, you are not invisible. You are not small, and you are not defined by the way others refuse to see you. Sometimes the greatest revenge is not anger, not punishment, but transformation. It's becoming so undeniably yourself that no one can erase your light. It's standing in your truth, even if it means standing alone. And sometimes, just sometimes, the people who hurt you will finally see. They will finally change. And when they do, you'll realize the power was never theirs to begin with. It was always yours. If my story touched you, if it reminded you of your own strength, I hope you'll do one thing for me. Like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe so you don't miss the next story. And please leave a comment below. Tell me about the moment you stopped being invisible. Tell me about the moment you chose yourself. Because that choice changes everything.